Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience.
This episode has been sponsored by the customer engagement platform SAP Emarsys that have been helping their clients be customer obsessed for years. Recent research from Forrester has found that customer-obsessed marketers are more than twice as likely to collect or transform real-time data for use in marketing programs and almost twice as likely to use all the data available to them in making customer decisions. At SAP Emarsys, they help to empower the marketer's path towards greater omni-channel engagement, whether that's pioneering advancements in personalization or growing loyalty to extend a customer's lifespan with a brand by engaging anywhere and personalizing everywhere. Visit emarsys.com to find out more.
Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen Robinson, and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Kelsey Jones, who has over a decade in the industry and is a forward-thinking, dynamic marketing specialist, putting strategy and sales front of mind in everything she does. Kelsey helps shape and deliver real results for customers in her role as global head of product marketing for SAP Emarsys. And hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And we are excited to talk to her today. We're going to be diving deep into the topic of the importance of privacy and marketing personalization. Welcome to the podcast, Kelsey.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yes, no problem. And thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to talk to you today, Kelsey. It's, I think, a hot topic. Privacy has always been a hot topic, I think, over these past few years. And of course, personalization. Any marketer knows that you don't personalize your marketing efforts and campaigns. It's almost like shooting in the dark, I think is what you can kind of equate it to. So, two very hot topics, of course, in the marketing industry. But before we dive deep into that topic, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and, specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, your intro said a lot of it, but what for my career journey, I've been in both small businesses with, 10 employees max, up into larger corporations and being a part of SAP today. What I, love about the career path I've taken so far is I'm extremely passionate about solving business challenges, solving problems. Basically, how do you take chaos and turn it into organization and scaling businesses for true sustainability, but also significant ROI. So throughout my career, I've really developed, the ability to look at different teams, whether that's even being a part of product marketing organizations like I am today, or account-based marketing, being a part of our corporate marketing organizations at businesses past, and also just solutions marketing, having that depth and breadth across, corporate marketing and into product marketing has played a really pivotal role in understanding even the topics we're going to talk about today is how is I as a marketer, marketing to marketers, but really thinking about the product elements that go into that, the data that builds and is used to, personalize all the comms that you were just talking about. So I'm really passionate about this topic because it brings in a lot of different elements, or like you said, over the last decade and a half, really, of the different experiences from, like I said, small businesses and working in tech, up to the larger corporations and bigger enterprises, and figuring out how to solve those problems and then scale solutions.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. And I think you're totally right as far as, this topic really covers the gamut of businesses, no matter if you're small, you're startup, or you're an enterprise organization. You're going to be dealing with data. You're going to be dealing with ways to reach your customers, to personalize your efforts, your campaigns. And so, yeah, I think this is applicable across the board, for sure. Yeah, it's great
Absolutely.
that you've had a, wide range of experience to help businesses kind of, navigate through the chaos, as you said it.
Yeah.
Because things are changing very rapidly, as we all see day to day in this whole tech industry and marketing and digital marketing specifically. So where I
Yeah.
want to really start off is just really the importance of all of this. Why do you think, we'll just kind of bring it back to personalization? Why do you think personalization these days is so important in your messaging to customers and prospective customers?
Yeah, I think at the heart of it, right, personalization is about people, right? It's about, we are all consumers of something in some way, shape, or form. And the personalization element is really what builds trust that consumers, even myself, are looking for to attach with a brand and to identify with. And so if something isn't personalized, if it's not what I'm looking for, that breaks down some of the trust, right? Because it becomes that personal element. I give you some information about me, i.e. some data component. But if I'm not getting that value exchange back, and you're not giving me something that's personalized to me, why would I want to, build that trust and have that loyalty with a brand? But also, if it's not personalized, then I can go on to the next thing, right? Customers are so much more disloyal than they've ever been before, because if we think about how we consume content and data and information today, so much faster than we ever have before. Think about the constant scrolling we're doing, whether on a social channel or we're checking out a newsletter, right? It is, if something is not personalized, that's going to catch my attention, I'm going to move right on to the next thing, or I'm going to move on to the next brand that's going to give me that experience.
Yeah, that is so true. And all of these social networks have really, brought so much awareness to this personalization aspect, because like you said, everybody's, you're scrolling through stuff, and there's certain things that are going to catch your eye, and it's only those things that are, personalized for you. And, as a layman just kind of going through looking at this stuff, you kind of think, all right, wow, I was recently looking at, let's say, Best Buy's website, and I was looking at some wireless headphones. And so now I'm scrolling on my Facebook, and now I'm starting to see ads for headphones. And I'm like, okay, wow. As a layman, you're like, wow, it's like magic. How did they know I'm interested in headphones? But little does,
Yeah.
most people know that there's a lot of things happening in the back end that is tracking you from your, tracking your online activity, and then being able to personalize your experience, where you're going, the sites you're visiting, the social networks that you're going to. And that's really where the power is, because then at that time, then you're able to really hone in on what you're looking for. So if I was, let's say, on the Best Buy website, and I was looking at just, specifically earbud style wireless headphones, I'm going to see ads that are just those type of headphones where, I wasn't looking for those. I'm not going to start seeing ads for, let's say over the ear headphones, those big noise canceling or the studio quality headphones. I'm going to see the ads for the earbuds, because it's been, my activity has been set up and been personalized, for me. Now, of course, there's all of this is really cool. It's really empowering for businesses to be able to do this and personalize these campaigns and these experiences so that they can pull in the right customers based on that, that data that they have. But of course, there's a caveat to that, and so when you're personalizing this messaging, we talked about this information is people's information, it's their demographic information. It's where they're going online. It's their likes, their interests, and people regard that as, their personal information. And so how do you securely and privately capture, that relevant customer info without, putting that data at risk? Yeah, that's really the catch 22 here.
It is, right? And it's that like trust element that we were talking about before, is if it's not used properly and in the right way, it's really going to be diminishing for your brand, or even to a consumer, right? If that data isn't used properly. So really, like we talked about, at the heart of personalization is people. Well, it's also at the other end of that, like the heart of personalization and how that delivers on what people want is the data. And that has to be collected, right, with privacy and consent in mind, right? Especially as we think about, we talk about, data today for brands, truly is the competitive advantage, right? Because we know that, third-party cookies are going away. Brands are shifting towards a customer first-party mindset. And being able to leverage those different types of data to drive those experience across channels, it's really hard to do. And doing it in a way that, to your point, it has to be collected with privacy and consent from a consumer. And having, those stipulations and those really the governance in place is critical for marketers that we have to think about, right? A lot of times we think about the layman's term of a marketer. Oh, you create campaigns, you send emails, you put together ads that are really fun and sexy for a brand. But also what you don't see, right, is the data structure that marketers have to think about, all the governance that has to be put into place to make sure that in order to deliver those campaigns, to execute them on the way that are going to deliver revenue for a business, has to be ensuring that customer data is, one, given with consent, but two, is then used exactly in the right way to create those personalized moments that brands can deliver and consumers actually expect today. I think that's the other element of it too, right? We expect it as consumers.
Yeah, that is true. We expect that personalized experience. And so it's like once you kind of start leading the customer base down that particular path, they really, like you said, they're going to start to expect, to be, if they are going to be marketed to, the things that they at least have an interest in. And so, which is definitely a good thing. And, as far as the data is concerned, like you said, definitely a concern, because, of course, we don't want to kid ourselves these days. Fraud is a big thing, identity theft, all of that, even the smallest pieces of information that people may not necessarily think of as being significant to someone can be used to do a lot. You can do a lot, somebody's email, their identity from that, these days, everything is so linked together online. You can kind of put together somebody's profile with just a few data pieces, and then you're starting to deal with some social security numbers, then there's bank accounts, there's credit card numbers. And so all of that is really all linked up kind of behind the ether. So that's why this is really a big deal that you have to be careful with it. Just even though, you're thinking these initial small data points are not significant, but to these fraudsters out there, the hackers, these online bots, these small little things can be used to start creating a whole, persona, that can be used to take somebody, take advantage of someone. And, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what's really important too, from a marketer's perspective, is their relationship with IT, right? They have to, because IT is the one who's coordinating a lot of these different technologies that are getting data from consumers, right? And how, that information is getting pulled into all of these back end systems. The IT persona, the IT person and team is really coordinating a lot of the different elements that are collecting data, right? It's not always just about the marketer, needing and collecting that data. To your point, like credit card information, addresses, like all of this stuff is collected from different mediums, and making sure that marketers and IT teams are partnering so that they're using the right data when they need to use it, I think is incredibly important. And especially at SAP with an Ecommerce, it's about, we have this unique ability to connect the back end systems of all of those things that you were just talking about, that ERP data, all of those things, with that front end experience that the marketer is trying to deliver. That's the full kind of 360 view of a customer that you have to have today, because to your point, that data is so valuable and so important. If something is leaked, if there's something fraudulent, again, it goes back to that trust that you're building with the consumer.
Right.
I think it all has to stem with, partnerships across IT and marketing and other organizations to make sure that all the things that you're building in the background are coming together, and you're all kind of marching and keeping that customer at the center.
Yeah, for sure. As an e-commerce business, any of the e-commerce businesses that are listening, or if you're dealing with an e-commerce business, because nowadays, there's so much of this available now. Like you mentioned, the relationship between the marketers and the IT people, and then this data. There's so much available now. There's so many data points that you can possibly get, from the end customer. There's all these ways of gathering this data. It's almost like a kid in the candy store. So how does a business determine, really what specific data points are going to be relevant when capturing, these prospects' information?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think at the center of it is understanding what you really are trying to do with that information. Like, what are you trying to engage with customers on? Are you trying to sell another product? Are you trying to drive an upsell to something? Are you trying to, be really targeted about a specific location? What are the campaigns and the products that they're thinking about running? But on the flip side of that, we talk about with our brands, and the most successful brands are those that are truly customer obsessed, is what we call them, meaning they're looking at all of the data points they have about the customer, and how are they then leveraging that, across different channels to do that in the right way. So when I think about, brands say, what data do I need? Well, what's the customer telling you today? What data points are you giving today that you're utilizing that, if I just knew this much more about them when I interact with them on, mobile, what's the next thing I want to learn from them? If I'm engaging with them in a customer service engagement, is it about the next product that they want? Okay, then that's the next thing that could kick off my next campaign to drive an upsell. Oh, I know they called in and they're interested in this shoe, but they're really interested in also this type of other apparel. And that can then say, I need to make sure I'm capturing that information from a customer service rep and kicking off a marketing campaign that could drive that upsell. So if we think about putting that customer at the center and figuring out all those different channels that we're engaging with them on, what data makes the most sense to pull in from those, with consent, of course, and then using that to trigger all of these different campaigns for marketers, I think is important. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And I think you definitely nailed it. It's really about what's your end goal? What do you want to do with the data, with the campaigns in mind, and with your overall, vision for the business, and your outreach vision, and your vision for trying to pull in these particular prospects. That you have to start with that. And then from there, you'll be able to, easily see what you need.
Yeah. And I think too, we have to look at, the macroeconomics today, right? Of, profitability is at the forefront of people's minds. So where am I going to go find, where am I going to be most efficient with my marketing spend or my IT spend? Where am I going to make the most money with the limited resources I may have or the time I may have? So really understanding like what you have from even a revenue or a resources perspective, and understanding how can I can't go get a ton of net new customers, because the cost to acquire a net new customer is a lot higher today than it probably was 3 years ago. So how can I maybe even just look at my most loyal customers that I know that are already engaging with us, and I have data on them to, give them a better experience? Can I focus there so that I can drive more revenue from some of my best customers? And that's where we're seeing a ton of growth across different brands that we're working with today. Puma, Reformation. It's how do I focus on where I'm at today with our best customers and continue to give them the best experience possible?
Yeah, I totally agree. And oftentimes, e-commerce businesses and marketers, you're so focused on bringing in that new customer and, acquiring these new customers. You're looking at your cost of acquisition and you're like, okay, yeah, it's not going to cost me that much to acquire these customers. So that's a lot of the focus, but you're leaving a lot of crumbs under the table if you're neglecting those current customers that have already, you've already established trust, loyalty. They've purchased from you multiple times. You got to just double down on those and, leverage that, and figure out, campaigns to further reach them and further reach their needs. Now, in order for really all of this to happen, what do you think are some tools and resources that, you really need to, to really, create customer-driven personalization?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple things. Tools can be, strategies and mindset and how you're looking at. Tools are also the literal solutions I'm using to execute on those things. So I think, firstly, it's kind of going back to that customer obsession perspective. It's one of the best tools that any brand can have, that they're thinking about with that mindset. It's about, the right leadership who understands the strategies that are put in place, the other elements of that. We all know that, like I said, it's tough with a modern marketer. It's more concerning. They're better educated. They have more things at their fingertips to be able to access. And, we did a recent survey with a customer loyalty index, and we found that nearly 60% of Americans say that inflation has made them leave brands, which they've been previously loyal to. Wow. And in that effort to save money, over nearly 60% of them agreed that, I am loyal to retailers that offer me discounts, incentives, and rewards. Yeah. There are a number of different factors that play into that. So when I go back to that, like, customer obsessed mindset, it's about looking at, who are those most loyal customers. So it's that strategy is, I think, the biggest tool that a marketer can have that can then influence what data do I need to influence these customers? What really creative and fun campaigns can I create that are outside the typical loyalty type of programs? I think is first and foremost the first thing that I would say is the best tool, is thinking about that customer centric strategy. The second thing I would really say is other things like, marketers, we talked about value exchange earlier, and really understanding kind of the tipping point at which this customer is happy to provide that data in exchange for those rewards or reimbursement or exclusivity of some kind, to be as successful as they can in that endeavor. The most, perceptive, I would say, marketers, they really understand that environment and have that customer understanding to know based on the relationship what they have. So I would say that tool is really about knowing who your audience is and figuring out the best way to leverage the data to drive, the experience that they're demanding. Otherwise, like I said, they're going to go to somebody else pretty quickly today. Loyalty is just, it's tough.
Yeah. You brought up some very important points. Yeah, loyalty is definitely tough. Even if you have this database of customers that are loyal, that are repeat customers, and you feel you've established a relationship, with them as the brand. You've done what you can to educate them. When things like inflation come around and people start struggling. Yeah, it's unfortunately, the brand loyalty kind of can go out of the window, because, at the end of the day, they got to eat, they got to feed their kids. And, if one brand is offering similar product or service is a lower price point, if they've, even if they've never even tried it before, if it comes to them saving, amount of money or significant amount, or what they feel is a significant amount, they're going to go that route. So you have to be mindful of, I think, the atmosphere that we're in, the economic atmosphere, to determine how you try to reach and connect with these customers. Yeah,
I love this one example of it's a company called Replacements Limited, and they sell a lot of different china and serveware and different things that may be out of stock or from a china set that maybe your grandmother has given you, but maybe you broke a piece or something in a move.
Right.
They provide those. So I think what they're doing, which is really neat, is that's a really emotional engagement that they can have with their customers. So what they're looking at is they know that, the product that they are selling is attached to something meaningful. So they are looking at that customer and saying, oh, I know this is an emotional moment or something that I can make to bring something to life for them. So they're looking at those kind of loyalty elements and providing that personalized experience to them. Oh, we know you're interested in, this china set. Have you seen these 4 things that go with it? And so they've done a really great job of, customers may come in through email or their web browsing, as well as, they're really increasing that revenue with even abandoned carts and, very personalized campaigns that then ensure that they are creating the best experience for that customer. So they're saying they know that there's a moment, an emotional moment, but they're making it really personal and creating that experience, I think, is a really interesting way that, really is at the center, being customer obsessed around that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's great. It's an excellent example. As we get ready to wrap things up, is there any other examples of any other e-commerce businesses that you've either dealt with with your company, with SAP, or any other examples of any businesses that you're familiar with in general that have effectively personalized their experience to help them, drive sales and just better engage with their customers overall?
Yeah, I think what we especially have seen through, the last few years and working even through the pandemic and coming out of that is the digital experience is now like truly blending with the in-store experience and, getting as much data as you can from customers in the right way and then using it. A great example of that is Beauty Pie. And I think a lot of beauty and skincare brands have done a great job at this of capturing a lot of that information with customers. So Beauty Pie is a customer of Ecommerce, and they're an exclusive luxury beauty, kind of a buyer's club, if you will. So you sign up as a member and you have the opportunity to buy different kind of skincare and fragrance products directly from the labs that are creating. So there's no middleman, there's no markup with them. And so it is a very transparent business. And I think that is what is so critical today, especially talking about the trust with consumers today. They are very transparent on this is the product you're buying. It's coming directly from the lab of which it was created. But all that data, what they've done is said, okay, I know you're putting in, this is the color of my skin and this is the foundation I wear. They're putting in all of these different points to help match up. What's the best foundation for this person? What's the best skincare product for them? So they're using all those different points and data points that they're pulling to create a really, personalized, product that they may be recommending. So they're really kind of taking both the digital stuff that they're getting in, as well as kind of looking at their email platform to support all of this to say, how can I use that data to personalize some of the products that we're recommending from some of that? And so they're looking and saying, from all of these different connected, multiple sources, how can I add flexibility to combine and create really custom segments to what I'm, enriching, going back to the personalization bits around that, really adapting with a ton of agility. They were seeing over, I think it was nearly 35% of revenue just coming from email that they were personalizing based on some of those data points that they were getting on their website. And then even seeing some really cool stuff around kind of just website traffic and clicks was through the roof in over a year, I think nearly over 33%, which was cool to see because they were seeing the real value of like personalizing some of those things based on just small data points they're getting about their products and pushing that back to their customer. Yeah. So I love kind of seeing that stuff come to life because I'm giving you all this information. Please make sure you're then using that to then offer me up a great experience, whether I'm back on your website or getting an email. I think they've just done a really great job of that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's good. And that's a very good point. If you're getting these customers, these prospects to give you that information, you better use it and use it effectively to better their experience, because it's, I guess you could say almost disingenuous if you're getting this information and you're not doing anything with it. Their overall user experience is not improved because of this. Then it's like, what's the point at the end of the day?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's that value exchange, right? That we talked about. I'm giving you this. What are you giving me for it?
Right.
And it doesn't always have to be that discount or that offer. It's truly about other elements of my experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think what we've seen over the years, these last few years, is data is the new gold, I think. And so I think customers realize that as well, that all of these brands out there they're really all trying to vie for all of this data so that they can, improve their bottom line and get those right customers to get, really target, who really is going to be their best customers. So it's, And
I think what I was on another call earlier, I think it was a customer this week, and we joked about, remember when content used to be king and that was like what we just continue to push out. And now data, I feel like is king. Like that is your competitive advantage when it's used right. So I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. Data is definitely king. Well, Kelsey, it's been awesome talking to you. I've definitely, learned a lot, as I hope our audience is as well. I'm sure it's just, we're at this time where this is a hot topic. And so I think it's very timely. And hopefully, our listeners and followers will be able to take this advice and information to heed with their business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but before we do let you go, I always like to close things out with, my final question, just so we can switch gears a little bit so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. So if you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we would be interested to know.
Yeah, I love that. I would say one fun fact. So I live in a larger city now. I'm in Indianapolis in the Midwest, but I am from a very tiny town, came 4-way stop in the middle of the Midwest. And I think, what I love about that is, knowing where you came from hard work, knowing how to work, but the exposure of travel has been like just so important to me over my last, decade. And my job has allowed me to do that. So really that like coming from a small town, but understanding, the world has just created such amazing experiences that we just can't see otherwise. I'd say that's my biggest piece of kind of funness is knowing where I came from is a very small town, but being able to experience travel and different cultures and different organizations has been a real blessing to really open ourselves up outside of, where we came from.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I definitely am an advocate for, traveling abroad, and don't limit yourself, even if you're from a small town and, you may not think certain things are possible. You definitely learn a lot by just experiencing other cultures, other environments, other businesses, other ways that people do things, outside of, where you come from. So,
getting uncomfortable, like comfortable with being uncomfortable. It takes a while sometimes, but it's when you learn and grow the most, I feel like.
That's for sure. Well, thanks again for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Lastly, before we do let you go, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you if they'd like to pick your brain anymore about, data personalization?
Yeah, I'd say the best place to get in contact with me is feel free to reach out on LinkedIn anytime. So if you just search Kelsey Jones with SAP, it should pop right up. Feel free to DM me, reach out anytime. I'm always happy to have these conversations.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out to you and see how you can help them out. Well, thanks again, Kelsey. I really appreciate you coming on today with the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level, but are tired of wading through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.